So that because it was never graded properly, it was pushing that water up. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Good evening, Farmington Hills, and welcome to the City Council meeting of March 23rd. Calling the meeting to order at 7:33. And as always, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Is Marion from our Mayor Youth Council here who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Thank you, Marion. Roll call, please.
Council members Aldred.
Here.
Bridges.
Here.
Dwyer.
Here.
Knoll.
Here.
Starkman.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Boulware.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, now approval of our regular session agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I move that council approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Bridges and second by Councilman Starkman. This is a regular vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Let's see here. Okay. Next on our agenda is announcement and presentation from city boards, commission, and public officials. Tonight, we have our Mayor Youth Council who will give an update about their recent visit to the Michigan Municipal League CAP conference that was held in Lansing. I want you to know that the funding for this trip was paid with no tax dollars went toward the trip for the Mayor's Youth Council. It was all funded by the weddings that our mayor conduct here throughout the year. So I'd like to call the Mayor's Youth Council up for their presentation.
My name is Annie Traharn, and I work for the Special Services Department within the city of Farmington Hills. And this is my first year working with the Mayor's Youth Council as their advisor. This year, one of our main goals was to be able to send our student representatives to some type of elective government official conference. So we considered Washington, D.C., and then we ended up confirming to do the CapCon conference in Lansing, which was in this past month. So we reached out to our students. We have an executive board and members at large, and offered the opportunity. Any student was able to, whether they attend Farmington or North Farmington or any other school, as long as they live within the city of Farmington or Farmington Hills. And the students were asked to put together a brief paragraph describing what they wanted to get out of the conference if they were to attend. And so we had 4 students that were able to attend this year. All of them are underclassmen, which they'll be able to bring back their insight and everything that they learned from this conference, whether they're in the board next year or preparing for their college resumes as well. So 3 of the 4 students are with me today, and they're going to speak a little bit about what they experienced while they were at CapCon, about what they learned and what they plan to take from in the future.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mridula. I'm an 11th grader at Farmington High School. I attended CapCon as a representative of Farmington Hills, and it was overall a very eye-opening experience. We first sat for the gubernatorial speeches of all the candidates, and we briefly met with Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. And after that, we went to the youth breakout room where we learned about the youth council at Sterling Heights and Petoskey, which was also very interesting because we were very interested in seeing how other youth councils were handling the things going on in their own cities and how their students are doing in their council board and just volunteer activities in general. So it really provided insight on what we can do more as a youth board, and on top of what we're already doing, without not just in Mayor's Youth Council, but in multiple other clubs that many of us are a part of. And after that, we were really contemplating on what we can do to improve our the growth of our youth in community service. So a lot of us, we were talking after, and we really took a lot out of the conference, and we discovered a lot about politics, because not only are we given this like polished down version of politics as high schoolers, it was really refreshing to see the real version of the politics, how it is just up front. And I think that was a really special and valuable experience for high schoolers in general.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miriam. I'm a junior at Farmington High School, and I'm on the executive board of the Mayor's Youth Council, and I serve as a member at large. A lot of the things I do involve the betterment of the community and some outreach programs, some fundraisers, things like that. And CapCon was a very insightful experience, to say the least. I learned a lot about how Michigan legislature functions and how all the people in our community play a role in the government. I learned a lot about politics, and even though I'm not interested in going into politics in the future, it was very, very interesting to see. Watching the gubernatorial candidates give their speeches was probably my favorite part, because I got to see what topics they were running on and what they promised to do, what they want to do, and how they want to better Michigan specifically. A lot of them mentioned literacy, which is a very important topic to me, and I really liked it overall. I learned a lot, and there was so much I could take away from CapCon and bring it back to our community here. Thank you.
Good evening to all. I'm Anushka Horagata Yogesh. I'm a sophomore at Farmington High School. And like the other two already talked about, the experiences at CapCon were very insightful and a very novel experience for all of us involved. The gubernatorial candidate speeches were actually very interesting in the sense that we got to learn more about what the most important issues in the upcoming election are. For example, literacy, energy, economy, things such as those are now things that we know we should keep an eye out for and learn more about, so that we are more aware of what our community needs. Second of all, like Mridula mentioned, we also got to learn about the youth councils from Petoskey. And because of that, we've actually been in contact with the council members from Petoskey, and that way we can also get ideas for what we can do in our own community here at Farmington. And with that, we're also kind of planning to do a joint thing where multiple youth councils come together at the next CapCon, and we discuss what we've been doing and collaborate on more ideas in the future. So all in all, it was a very great experience and something that I believe is very beneficial to the youth in our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. You want to take a picture? Picture time with the council? You stand here and we get behind you, and I don't know if there's a phone or camera. Okay, here we go. Paul.
There's our cameraman.
Okay. We got to move down probably a little bit. Are we centered?
Okay.
This
How
way?
about now?
This way. We're missing our clocks,
know,
so we
yeah.
don't have that guide.
No, they go there. We go this way, they go there.
God.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, we do have two famous people from Mayor's Youth Council that's gone on to political life, and one is our own Samantha Steckloff, who, while at the Michigan Municipal League, received an award for the Legislator of the Year. So congratulations to her. And also coming out of Youth Council was our former school board trustee, Zach Rich. And so Bears Youth Council is so beneficial for so many youths in our area, and we hope that they go on to great and better things. And thanks for the presentation. I failed to say that if you want to speak during public comment, you need to fill out a blue slip, and the blue slip is on the wall back there. Fill that out, and you can hand that to our city clerk at the end of the dais to my right. All right, the next we'll have the Great Lakes Water Authority update.
Good evening, Council. My name is Suzanne Coffey, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Great Lakes Water Authority. I have been in front of this council many times. I worked for Oakland County for 12 years, and when I did, I was in front of this honorable body, and it's very nice to be back here again. In fact, I'll give you just a little bit about me. When I worked at Oakland County, I worked for the Water Resources Commissioner, Jim Nash. I also worked for John McCullough before him. And I was assigned to the stand-up of the Great Lakes Water Authority to represent Oakland County in the stand-up of the authority itself. And as I worked on that for about 2 years in that position, and the authority was actually stood up, I decided that to advance my public service, to serve more people, it would be good for me to go down to the large regional system. So that's how I started. That was 10 years ago. Hard to believe, 10 years ago. If you don't know, the Great Lakes Water Authority was born out of the city of Detroit's bankruptcy. And at that time, the Great Lakes Water Authority stood up separate and distinct from the city. So our organization has a separate board, represented differently. We still work in the same building, but the Detroit local system is run much like your system locally by their Detroit Water and Sewerage Department. So I'm here today. Acting City Manager, I almost said interim, Acting City Manager Mondora asked if I would come and address you and talk just a little, not a long time, about what's going on with the pipes on 14 Mile Road, because it's certainly something that's important to us and all of us. So I come from a civil engineering background up through operations and into utility management. And the first thing I want to say is the pipe on 14 Mile Road is not meeting the level of service that anyone expects. Not your residents, not the residents of the other 5 communities that have been impacted by its breaking multiple times. And it's certainly not the level of service that GLWA expects. But we own it, it's our pipe, it's our responsibility, and so it's not anybody else's fault that this pipe continues to have problems. So when I talk about this pipe, think 14 Mile Road all the way over to Inkster, and then all the way over to Walt Lake, the lake itself. Like this is many communities. The pipe was built in the 1970s. It broke most recently again on March 7th. So that was the most recent disruption. Certainly it's in your community. Your community, like I said, was one of 6 impacted, certainly the most acutely impacted by the disruption of the break itself. Fortunately, you have a lot of redundancy in your system. You're served in different ways, and I don't think your residents had as negative of an impact as they did years ago when we had this break the first time in 2017. The Novi residents were without water for a day this time. And we did the best that we could to get that repaired quickly, and our repair crews did a good job. But nevertheless, this pipe should not continue to break like this. None of us think that this is okay. So I want to give you just a little bit of the history on what we've done with this break. The pipe's broken 4 times since 2017. The first time it broke, we obviously did a repair. We worked through that, and then we started an inspection program. The pipe built in the 70s is about 50 years into its useful life. It's a 100-year pipe. It should last 100 years. So not expecting this pipe to break, we thought, well, what's going on with this pipe? We began an inspection program in the pipe. Water mains were not intended to be inspected. When they were built, civil engineers, just like me, put very few ability to get in the pipe to keep the water clean and keep the water safe. So it's challenging to get and inspect. Most people think, well, why don't you just inspect them all the time? They were never designed to be inspected. But we understood this pipe needed inspection. So we worked through, and it was actually the first pipe in GLWA's inspection program. When GLWA took over 10 years ago, there was no proactive inspection on the pipes. There was no proactive valve exercising. Those are 2 things that we put in to increase the level of service to your residents and others. So we've inspected the pipe. The pipe that broke on March 7th, the most recent break, had been inspected twice since 2017, most recently in 2021, with 0 defects. pipe, again, halfway through its useful life, why is it continuing to break like this? We do have national experts, consultants that advise us on such things. We're large, large pipes like this, it's a 48-inch diameter pipe under a lot of pressure. Think 170 PSI. That's why there's so much water. When people say, oh, there's like a river out there. Ms. Mondora she texted me a picture right away, like it was like dawn, and said, it's like a river. And I said, I know, I got the call. So we did the inspections. We are doing best practice as it relates to this. This was a pipe that was in a high priority for us as soon as that break occurred, and we didn't understand why it was occurring. We thought, well, we're going to get ahead of it. We're going to do this best practice. We're going to do regular inspections. We're going to make sure that we're renewing. That pipe segment, we have done thousands of pipe segment inspections in that range that I talked to you about. We've renewed 64 individual segments of that pipe. So it's not like we're not doing anything. So we're thinking, yeah, we've got it. We're getting ahead of it. We're inspecting it. We're renewing when we see degradation. It shouldn't break again. So when it broke again, I was surprised. And I said that, and one of the city council members at Novi was not all too keen with that response, but we did think we had an inspection program that we were getting ahead of the breaks. Clearly, we're not. So we turned to our consultants and we said, what is happening with this pipe? So we're looking through it now. There are very few pipes that have this level of degradation this rapidly around the world. So we're looking to what's next. If best practice isn't going to get the level of service that you deserve, what do we need to do? So we're now looking at a more holistic approach to the entire segment. It's very expensive to do, so we're trying to figure out how can we go about it, because we do understand that your residents deserve better, and we want to be providing that better level of service. So that's where we are with that. The break itself has been repaired. When a pipe breaks like that, it gives us an opportunity to go do inspections. We went in and did that. People walked up the pipe. It's big enough that you can actually get in and do. We found another pipe segment that we wanted to repair, and so we did do that repair. Those repairs are all done. They're currently, at this point, curb and sidewalk are they might even be done now. The subgrade for the pavement is being done, and we're expecting that by the first week in April, the road will be open. Now, it's weather dependent, and this time of the year, the weather's dicey. So when people ask about these types of things, we always hesitate to give dates, but we always know people want targets. So that's our target. If everything goes well, I would expect, given the weather and what's happening, that it might be the second week in April, but that's kind of the current status. So I don't have a lot more. Karen asked that I would give you something fairly short, and then I am prepared, and I have a number of people here with me. If you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer in a lot of detail if you'd like. I have Jody Caldwell, our Chief Planning Officer, here. I have Pete Fromm, our Director of Transmission Mains. I have Stephanie Burns, I'm sorry, Stephanie, here, who is from Public Affairs, so it's our communication piece of it all. So they're here with me today. If you have questions and I can't answer them, they're here to answer your questions if you have them. So I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm going to start next with Councilman Bridges.
Thank you. It's 10 years ago already?
Yes.
This council, when we formed it, when you first came to council with the formation of the
That's right.
GWA.
Yes.
So we appreciate you coming today. My question is regarding the proximity of the break in 17 versus the one that took place on March 17. It's only about 50 yards apart. I mean, I think it's like 50 yards apart. Fortunately, this break was not as severe to Farmington Hills residents because of the reasons that you outlined regarding redundancy. And but my concern was regarding our water tower. The fact that that we have a water tower in Farmington Hills, that we were possibility of not able to fill that water tower at night when we wanted the water tower to be filled in order to use that water in the daytime. Do you know what caused it? What is the technical or the reason why the pipe broke? Is there a stretch factor? What is it?
So the pipe, it's a good question. The pipe is what I would call a highly engineered pipe. It's got multiple layers. It's concrete on the outside, but it has a wire winding, a wire that wraps and puts it into compression, because we put a lot of pressure on these pipes. So it's pre-stressed concrete. Inside that, then there's another layer that's a steel cylinder that keeps it watertight, and another mortar coating. So the failure of the pipe looks like it occurred whether it's the outside mortar coating or the inside wire winding in a corrosion, or sometimes they call it hydrogen embrittlement, we sometimes see in these pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipes. So we see that. But the reality is the pipe should have lasted longer. So it's degrading faster than anyone would have expected. That's the question that we still need to have answered.
Okay. Now, regarding the cost of repairing that pipe, is that already factored into the rates, or that's something we can expect, could residents expect to increase rates because of this?
So this particular one, it's covered in the contracts that we have. But I would tell you, this 6 miles really between Haggerty and Inkster Road,
6 months.
that is going to, if we have to do a full replacement of that, is going to be much, much more expensive. And so that's why we're having the engineers work through all the details of that right now. So I think the first question is, why don't you just replace it all? So replacing that much pipe is not tens of millions of dollars, it's more like in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And we don't have that particularly budgeted, but this pipe is now our highest priority. So we're trying to figure out, is there something that we can do to rearrange our capital improvement plan, or how could we get the funding that we would need? So the engineers are working now through the plan, getting us an estimate, and we're going to figure out what we can do to go forward.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Councilman Knowles?
Yeah, you mentioned the pipe was from the 70s, and it should last 100 years. It's degrading faster than it should, but you mentioned that your consultants are looking into why. I'm assuming that as part of that, they're looking throughout the whole country. Are you finding that throughout the country that this particular type of pipe from the 1970s, are they all having issues, or is it something you're finding only maybe in the Midwest, which would maybe lead to something more about our weather conditions as opposed to maybe in the South or the West? Do they have any information on that? Because it is really odd, quite honestly. I mean, it's 1970s is old, but it's not that old in far the life of a pipe. So you wonder if it's something about the material that they had I hate to say this, bad batch of material, or something in the way the material interacts with the climate here in Michigan, with the freeze-thaw cycle. I mean, have they been able to determine, do they have any leads?
So
Are they
yes.
doing that investigation?
It's a great question, right? So the first question that I have is, okay, if the inspection was good 5 years ago, the pipe was fine, was the inspection bad, or is the pipe bad, right? Like, what is it? But the reality is, in the 70s, there was a particular pipe manufacturer, and this is in the 70s with that manufacturer, that has said that 4% of that pipe has, I've got to get the right word, manufacturing anomalies that cause it to degrade more rapidly than what would be expected. So we know this, though. We know this about the pipe, and we have a lot of this pipe. We have 800 miles of pipe over 8 counties. We have a lot of 1970s pipe. 4% of it obviously has some issues. 96% of it's good. So inspecting to see if the pipe is degrading is the prescribed best practice across the country, and it's not necessarily Michigan, right? It should be fine in Michigan. This shouldn't be a problem, and a lot of our pipe is fine. This particular pipe degrading at this rate, though, is really a head scratcher for them. And our consultants look across the world, and they're saying there's only a handful of other communities and or utilities that have seen this rapid degradation. So that piece is still unknown. But yes, and you know, this was litigated. Years ago, that company went bankrupt, went out of business. Whatever settlements were there are long since gone. And we know and understand that the pipe has that vulnerability, which is why we're really focused on that regular inspection. I can't tell you that we've been in every one of those 800 miles. We're far from it. We've been focusing on this area. The other thing that we did is we built a loop up M5. You guys probably remember this. We had pipe laid out on M5. It was like a 5-year, $100 million project. We looped this area to give it more redundancy. So if we had a break, then we could isolate that break. And it's like a pressure grid. Think about it as a grid, pressurized. You break a little piece of it. If you can pinch those sides off around that break, the pressure will restore to the grid. So we did that too. So we knew that this area had some vulnerabilities, but not to this degree. Even the experts are saying, we haven't seen this before, Sue. We just haven't seen it. But good questions, excellent question.
Councilman Alderette?
Thank you. And thank you for coming in tonight and explain. And So just to clarify, talking about having a more holistic approach to this, so I think currently you have some studies looking at what could be done, whether that's hundreds of millions or whether that's something more focused. Is that correct?
That's
You're looking
correct.
at what your options are. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. The failure mode that you described that occurred in this case, would you have expected the inspection in 2021 to have picked that up? In other words, is it actually a failure mode that you can inspect and see?
Yes, yes, so that wire winding in that pipe, as pipes start to degrade, the wire will break in pieces. So when we inspected, we did an electromagnetic inspection that went through to be able to detect the continuity of that wire. It can detect how many wire breaks there are in that, because there's hundreds of windings in this pipe. So it's specifically designed to detect this type of defect.
Okay, and so I guess the obvious question then is, if doing it every 5 years isn't enough, and if the alternative is hundreds of millions of dollars, is there a more continuous monitoring technology that can be employed such that we know that we have pipes that have got these kind of potential failures? How do we have a more continuous, predictive maintenance approach as opposed to just hoping that you hit the right day?
Agreed. So this is great, right? You guys have all the right questions. It's an acoustic fiber optic cable that you can put inside the pipe, and it can effectively listen for wire breaks. We can put a data collector on that, and we can hear it when the pipe breaks. The question is, did the wires break all at once? Did they break a little bit over time? Would the acoustic fiber optics have picked it up? And those are all the questions we're working on now. And west of M5, and I know that your community even though that's not in your community, we're putting that acoustic fiber optic cable in the pipe down there. We replaced a piece, and then the newer pipe, we put the acoustic fiber optic in. And so, yes, there is, and we will be considering that too.
Okay, very good.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other council questions? All right, thank you. Thank you so much. You've answered the majority of our questions, and I appreciate you coming out today to respond to our concerns. So thank you.
Yep, you're very welcome. Thank you.
That takes us now to a correspondence. Anyone have any correspondence they'd like to share with council? Ms. Councilman Knowles?
Yes, I had one from a constituent. This is a constituent who participated in the RCAT training that our police department is offering to CPL holders. It was led by Officer Brianna Strieber, and the constituent wrote to me to tell me that they were genuinely very impressed that Officer Strieber was knowledgeable, a professional instructor, and that overall this was the police were actively engaging with the CPL holders, and they believe this type of approach builds real trust and reflects well on Farmington Hills. So anyways, they wanted me to pass along to the chief and Officer Strieber and the others in the police department how much that they appreciated this training.
All right, thank you.
If I might just add on that, I actually attended that same class and it was excellent. Very well done. I appreciated the involvement from the police. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll be sure, Ms. Mondor will be sure to pass that along. I do have one piece of correspondence that came from Lloyd Banks III, and it was regarding the road that abuts both the post office and the library. Their craters is just a horrible road, and I passed that on to our acting city manager, and you have an update to give us.
Yes, thank you. So with the assistance of the city attorney's office, we have reviewed the deed and easement documents for that access driveway and determined that the responsible party is the office park that's located south of the post office. And our zoning division has been in communication with them today, and given them notice to cure. So I will continue to keep council updated on the progress that's made in regard to that issue.
Thank you so much. That brings us to our consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine, administrative, or non-controversial by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agenda for consideration. Reading our consent agenda tonight will be Councilman Aldred.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So consent agenda, item number 5, recommended approval of a contract amendment with Rosati, Schultz, Jopic, and Amps Buchler, PC, to add employment law and labor relations services, CMR 32631. 6, recommended approval of a resolution for the vacation of agreements for stormwater retention and discharge restriction system for the Tawhid Center located at 29707 10 Mile Road, CMR 32632. 7, recommended approval of amendment number 1 to the interlocal agreement between the County of Oakland and the City of Farmington Hills for Heritage Park, CMR 32633. 8, recommended approval of amendment number 6 to the water service contract between the Great Lakes Water Authority and the City of Farmington Hills, CMR 32634. 9, recommended approval of a resolution supporting the grant application to the Michigan Department of Transportation Local Bridge Program for the Tuck Road Bridge Replacement, CMR 32635. 10, recommended approval of single and tandem axle dump truck parts and related equipment and services to Truck and Trailer Specialties, Inc., in the amount of $45,000, CMR 32636. 11, recommended approval of award of bid of roadside tractor mowing to S&L Landscape LLC in an amount not to exceed the annual budgeted amount with approved extensions, CMR 32637. 12, recommended approval of award of contract for the Farm Meadow and Camelot Court Subdivision Concrete Reconstruction Phase 2 to Mark Anthony Contracting, Inc., in the amount of $4,318,770.06, CMR 32638. 13, recommended approval of award of contract for the Folsom Road reconstruction from 9 Mile Road to Orchard Lake Road project to Proline Asphalt Paving Corporation in the amount of $2,693,999.55, CMR 32639. 14, recommended approval of award of contract for the Bitterston Woods Subdivision Paving Project to Springline Excavating LLC in the amount of $2,164,776.98, CMR 32640. Recommended approval of award of contract, 15, recommended approval of award of contract for the Richland Garden Subdivision Phase 1 Road Reconstruction Project to Fonson Company, Inc., in the amount of $4,968,929.14, CMR 32641. 16, recommended approval of award of contract for the Ridgewood Drive Road Reconstruction Project to Asphalt Specialists LLC in the amount of $1,446,246 exactly, CMR 32642. 17, recommended approval of a request for employment under Section 1001A of the City Charter for a concessions attendant, CMR 32643. And 18, recommended approval of City Council study session minutes of March 9th, 2026. And 19, recommended approval of City Council regular session minutes of March 9th, 2026.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion?
I have a motion, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read by Councilmember Allred.
Support.
All right, motion by Councilman Bridges and supported by Councilman Starkman. This is a roll call vote.
Yes. Council members Bridges.
Yes.
Dwyer.
Yes.
Knoll.
Yes.
Starkman.
Yes.
Aldred.
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Bolower.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to council members' comments and announcements. Are there any?
Brief comment, if I could.
Yes,
This is a
Councilman
good-
Bridges.
Thank you. This is a comment related to comfort care on 12 Mile and Orchard Lake. I know the city manager, the acting city manager is aware of that project, but it seems to be coming more in disrepair. So can you investigate on what we have, what authority we have to hold that property owner accountable so we don't have just a major eyesore there? If you could, I
Yes.
appreciate that. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Any other? Councilman Aldred?
Yes, thank you. Just to add a comment about there are state laws that are being, House bills that are being put forward around zoning preemption, and that's something that we're going to be, I'm going to be working with Councilmember Starkman to propose some wording to help the city with regards putting forward a resolution at the next meeting. But I thought it'd be helpful just to give general residents just some awareness of what these state bills are in advance, in case they would like to reach out to our state representatives or state senators in the meantime. So just to help clarify for those who may be interested, these are House Bills 5529 through 5532, 5581 through 5585, and these are basically zoning preemption laws. And what this would do would be make a massive change to what local municipalities are able to control in terms of zoning. It has some considerable effects on basically the state stepping into the realm which has previously been in the realm of local zoning. And you know, a number of times we have public hearings here, we have PUDs, and one of the often the comments we get is about density. People complain about density. The purpose of these bills is to help increase housing and produce more affordable housing. But let me give you a couple of examples of what is in these House bills. House Bill 5529 basically says that you can't prescribe a minimum lot size greater than 1,500 square feet. 1,500 square feet by law, state law, would be the largest single-family home lot size that you could have in a city. For example, the current largest single-family lot size in Farmington Hills has a minimum size of about 30,000 square feet. The smallest single-family home lot size in Farmington Hills right now is RA4, which is 8,000 square feet as the smallest single-family lot size. So this is basically saying the state law would then be more than 5 times smaller, the current smallest single-family lot size. This is a massive change. And to add to that, House Bill 5584 says that on any single-family lot, you can have a duplex. So whatever I just said, you can double in terms of density. So you know that's a massive change, and those are just 2 of the bills out of that set of bills that are being proposed. It is a bipartisan bill, so bipartisan itself doesn't guarantee anything good from what I can see in this case. And so yes, so this is something that we would be looking to put wording together for a resolution from the council to then present and give to our state representatives and state senators to express how vehemently we oppose these law changes. So just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, Councilman Aldred. Any other? Councilman Starkman?
So just to add on to what Councilman Aldred outlined is the reason that this timing is so important is that the state legislature is going into recess, and so this is the perfect time that we can kind of gather everything together that we need so that when our representatives go back into session, that they have a clear sense of where our city stands. So this is really one of our big projects, because zoning and that aspect of local governance is a huge part of what we do. And so if that is stripped away from us, it's a significant issue. So I'm looking forward to working with Councilman Aldred on this, and I encourage everybody to reach out to your representatives. Fortunately, our state representative is opposed to this legislation, has actually created counter legislation. I believe it's the My Home Project, which you can find more information on, but it's still a good idea to speak up about this because it ultimately will affect all of you. So that's all that I have to say.
Any other questions?
Just to clarify on that point, I believe you're referring to Representative Steckloff.
Yes.
Is being opposed to it. We have 3 representatives in
Yes.
Farmington Hills, so that is not necessarily a universal truth.
Thank you.
That our representatives are opposed to this.
No, Representative Steckloff is, to my knowledge, the only one that is opposed to the legislation. So might want to contact, or the representatives are Jason Hoskins and Mary Kavanaugh.
All right, thank you. I'd like to add to that. I know during our last city council member meeting, our city attorney briefly spoke a few words about that. And I know over the years that I've been on council, the one thing that bring our residents in is when there is some zoning issues or someone's trying to build a house and there are some concerns about it. And this particular bill, as both all our council members stated, would take some of that control away from us. Not take some, it will take all of it, about the density and what can be built where, and that would all be left up to the state's, ruling. This is a time when our voices are important, and for you to contact your state reps as well as your state senators. And that information is on our website, Farmington Hills website, that you can go in there and get their contact information. So those in the audience and those who hear my voice, I encourage you to contact your representative about this issue. Tell them how you feel, because your voice matters. And just like your local officials, listen to what you have to say, so does our state officials. So I would encourage you to do just that, to contact them. All right, so this will bring us up to our city manager's update. I'm going to turn it over to our acting city manager, Karen Mondoro.
Thank you. I just wanted to convey our sympathies to the City of Huntington Woods DPW Supervisor Doug Chimmel, family and coworkers, and I apologize if I've mispronounced his last name. He tragically passed away on the evening of March 13th in the line of duty, responding to a storm event and trying to clear a roadway with a forestry incident. So I wanted to express our condolences on behalf of the City of Farmington Hills. His family is our Farmington Hills residents, and we did have members of the police department at the funeral assisting with traffic control, and we also had representation from our DPW at the funeral. So just wanted to let the council know about that. And then I also received a very nice message of thanks from the West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, Jonathan Warshay, in response to the incident at Temple Israel, and expressing their sincere thanks for coming to the aid of West Bloomfield in their time of need. So as council knows, we had assisted with mutual aid in our emergency dispatch center, as well as our police and fire departments. So I'll share this message with City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings us
Mayor
to...
Pro Tem?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Question on the city manager update. Yard waste.
Yard waste resumes the first full week of April. I believe that's the week of April 8th? 6th. I was close.
Thanks.
April 6th. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And that information can also be found on our city's website as well. All right, this is new, brings us to our new business, consideration of approval of appointments to various boards and commissions. Is there a motion there, or?
You got the floor, Councilman.
Sure. Yes, Council Member Knowles?
I will move to appoint Jennifer Day to the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families for a length of term of 3 years, with the term ending February 1, 2029. And Cameron Andrews on the Committee to Increase Voter Participation, also for a 3-year length term, ending February 1, 2029. And to appoint James Colwell and Evan Rosen, both to the Farmington Hills Beautification Commissions, both for 3-year terms, ending on February 1, 2029.
All right.
All right. Is there support?
I support, yes. I support the recommendations made by the mayor and read by our council member, Noel.
Okay, so it was motioned by our Councilman Noel and supported by our Council Member Michael Bridges. And this is a, let's see, a regular vote. All in favors, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, that now takes us to public comment, where I have several individuals like to speak who've turned in a blue slip. You'll each have 3 minutes to make your comments. And we'll now hear from Angie Smith from Farmington Public Schools.
Good evening. You look good up there, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, thank you.
Happy March Reading Month. Last year, you know, I came in dressed as Dorothy. This year, I am not dressing as anyone but Angie Smith. I want to thank each and every one of you that came out and read to our littles. We're still doing that. We've got beautiful stories about all of you that came out and read. I will be at Hillside tomorrow, reading from 9 to 11:30. And as you know, next week is our spring break. So thank you so much for your participation. The students felt, like they had real, people from they thought you all were from the White House.
Really?
So, oh yeah. I appreciate all that you all have done and the work that you have done, and not only working as our city council members and our Mayor Pro Tem Mayor tonight, but I want to say that we love the collaboration and you all working with us. Not only working with us, but we have bridged that gap. We do have a strong, great relationship with you. And we thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And as I always sign off on my emails, as always, yours for children, Angie Smith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Next, we have Suzanne I'm going to mess this last name up, I know. Dinsey.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Dengiz. I've been a resident of Farmington for over 50 years. Many of us wanted to ask the City Council how they are choosing the firms that are doing the engineering study, environmental study, and urban planning. We need to know if they have chosen planners who have successfully built senior activity centers before. Senior centers must be built to accommodate people with special needs and be in ACA compliance. This is particularly important since the last time consultants were chosen to advise about building a senior center, a firm called Sports Facility Company was hired. Their specialty was building amusement parks and had very little or no background in building senior activity centers. We don't want anyone to make that kind of mistake again. It costs the city a huge amount of money. It is my feeling that the City Council and other people involved in building a new senior activity center are lacking in the knowledge of so many things that go into building a safe center. For example, placing a senior center immediately adjacent to a freeway, 696, creates a huge risk environment for respiratory, cardiovascular, and cognitive health, making it a poor choice without significant specifications. All the accommodations that would have to be made to build on the Hawk property would add greatly to the cost. This is not being fiscally responsible. What amount of money has the city been saving all the years without providing an adequate facility for seniors? A part of fiscal responsibility is providing for the needs of all residents in a community. The current treatment of seniors is poor. The soul of a community can be exemplified by how the least able children and seniors are cared for. The current treatment of seniors is poor. Okay. And I just want to say to the side that one of my good friends is also going to talk a little bit about the pollution and 696. Okay, thank you very much.
And thank you. We'll have next Mark Forshee.
Hello. For some time, I've seen people, senior citizens mostly, come up and say, well, we need a new swimming pool at the Caustic Center. Everything, it's old, it's bad, it's terrible. We don't want a cold water pool, et cetera. And I kept seeing this over and over, and no one ever opposed it. And I said, I know where this is going. Then I started hearing talk on council people, well, maybe we'll spend 10 or 12 million. Now I'm hearing 30 million or more. I'm sorry, but that's outrageous. Every time I pay my taxes, it's painful. They never send me a thank you note. And there's no way we can have a 30 million or more building without raising taxes. And it's for a relatively small percentage of the population. I'm a senior citizen myself. I was on the swim team for 4 years. I like all that. That's all good stuff. But it's just way too much. Also, it's way over on the east side, hop, skip, and a jump for the people in that area. But what about people on the west side? Especially in the wintertime. It's a drive. So I'm really opposed to this. I'm going to start talking to other people because I just, with all the, here's an idea, let taxpayers keep our money, okay? Instead of taking it, the city keeps a slice, and then this gigantic project, which it's nice, but it's really easy to be compassionate with other people's money. So please reconsider this. And I'll be talking to other people, and perhaps they'll come here, and I think some of them will agree with me. So thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
And thank you. Our next person is Karen Toomey.
Hello, good evening. I'm here this evening with my partner, Dennis Greggio. It's fun to be here where I get to see some familiar faces. I'm sorry that Mayor Rich isn't here this evening. She and I have some history working on school boards together. When I was in Ferndale and she was on the Farmington board, we were both advocates for equitable educations. Councilwoman Knoll, you've been amazing. Thank you for being so good at listening and getting the city to come out so quickly. I'll have to say that so far, everybody that we've met since coming to this city about 6 months ago has been really wonderful, professional, kind, and exemplifying the community values that we were attracted to in choosing the city. What I'm here to talk about, though, is that behind our home on Heritage Park land exists what people have been casually calling a pond. In reality, it's only a few inches deep. It's a stagnant low spot with no meaningful capacity to retain or manage water. When the Independence Hills subdivision was put in, there was a lack of a drainage plan, and culverts were put in that directed the water down to this low spot that is behind our house. And that runoff creates a shallow basin on our parkland that simply cannot retain or filter the water as needed. That has become a source of water coming from city-owned parkland onto our property. The water tables have been raised by that from the regular overflows, and this was admittedly something that happened before your service on this board and also before the passing of PA 222, which makes clear the city's responsibility and liability for having a drainage plan. We all know that this is not a new problem. The previous homeowner, Ms. Moat, endured tens of thousands of dollars of damage to the property over the years that was caused by the flooding coming from city-owned property onto this land. After that, the owners who took it on after it had gone into bank ownership were swallowed by the cost. They had to do waterproofing, replace septic systems, and they ultimately ended up losing their dream home to the costs incurred. To date, we're estimating the cost to our property has been over $100,000. Neighbors have asked for help for years. At one point, residents pooled money to install a corrugated pipe to redirect water towards a culvert. When the city later redid the roads, that connection was not restored. Recently, we were told by the city that they would waive the permit fee if we, again, the homeowners, took on the cost to reinstall the pipes ourselves. So Dennis is going to talk a little bit more.
Thank you. Okay, Dennis.
I have some handouts. Thank you. Okay. Hi, my name is Dennis Greggio, and as you heard from my lovely partner, Karen Toomey, we've moved to Farmington Hills in August of 2025, and we are enjoying our property at 34601 Brittany Drive. I want to say I'm also, my background is a mechanical engineer. I work for Ford, and I wanted to kind of lay out the problem statement that we have and kind of dimension it a little bit so that you would understand. So the storm runoff frequently pools in the flood zone located in the Heritage Park, which is adjacent to our property. The water often flows onto our land, causing severe flooding. 2 weeks ago, after a thunderstorm, the overflow from the zone came within 10 feet of our home. To prevent the surge from reaching our walkout basement and garage, we were forced to buy 2 trash pumps and 300 feet of hose to manage the situation and dump that water into the drainage basin. The overflow was so intense that we had both pumps running continuously for approximately 36 hours at a rate of 5,000 gallons per hour, which they roughly moved 180,000 gallons of water out of our backyard. To put that into perspective, that amount of water could have filled 9 average-sized swimming pools, which typically hold about 20,000 gallons of water. So I just wanted to ask, how would any of you like if your neighbor emptied their swimming pool onto your backyard 9 times in a row and then prevented you from draining it off and refused to this from happening in the future? So it's a problem. Our neighbor has a pool, Tom Phillip, and his pool is a 30,000 gallon pool, and he would never empty that into our property and expect that we pay and clean up for the repair. So shouldn't we expect the same courtesy from our city of Farmington Hills? In the sheet, I have some basic facts about our home. some of the cost that has been put into it due to the water situation. You can see it, as Karen mentioned, they add up close to 100,000, definitely over 90,000. And, you know, the contributing causes she also covered in her comments. And I have some recommendations to resolve the flooding. So Farmington Hills could help us to dredge that flood zone, make it deeper, add some sand, gravel, native flora to prevent erosion, natural filtration, and to minimize mosquitoes, and also to reconnect the corrugated pipe that was disconnected by the city.
All right.
And this would help to manage the flow from Independence Hills, which is much higher than we are. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I
Thank you.
didn't think I could get through the whole thing. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Our next is Leanne Roughchak. Leanne?
Good evening. My name is Leanne Kufchuk. I live in Farmington Hills on Piper's Lane. I'm here to speak about the future of the Costic Center and the proposed plans for senior facilities. The Costic Center is aging, and the discussion has centered on two replacement proposals. One is to replace it with a standalone senior center with a pool on the same location on 11 Mile Road. The other is to build a separate, dedicated senior center on the Hawk campus. I've heard it costs upwards of $20 to $30 million, also with a lap pool. A third approach has already been explored and rejected, and that is keeping all senior programming integrated at the main Hawk building, the former high school. I'm here to advocate for giving this third approach a second look. Whether we realize it or not, this approach is already working for hundreds of seniors who are enjoying the who are enjoying the Hawk on a daily basis. Hundreds of them are taking fitness, arts, woodworking, and other daytime programs. The SOAR program is located there. I've never heard a senior complain about it. They just enjoy and love the new facilities. I enjoy it myself. Just like the Costic Center is a shared facility, it's never been a senior facility. Just like the Costic Center is a shared facility, so is the Hawk already. During the day, it's mostly day programming. At night, it transforms itself and comes alive with after-work programs and after-school programs for kids. And why this third idea has been rejected has never really been thoroughly or clearly explained to me. There are some problems with a separate facility, senior facility. And I have to make this short, I can see I'll make over my 3 minutes, but it's a complete duplication of efforts. A separate senior center, which would be located way back by the expressway, apparently, would also have an aquatic center. So it would have two aquatic centers. Both kids would need both centers, pools. Adults would need both pools. And you'd have separate infrastructure. You'd need a shuttle bus to move seniors constantly back and forth between centers so they because archery and all the programs can't be provided at both. So I'm advocating not isolating the seniors way in the back and putting them back there, but go for the one-stop shopping approach, which would include the following. A 6-lane lap pool with a deep end. Am I up already? I'm going to have to come back in 2 weeks.
Email it.
Pardon me?
Send an email.
I will email you because, and I will be back because I think it's a workable solution.
Thank you so much. Eric Smith, followed by Sue Format.
Good evening. Sorry I haven't been around. I'm sure it was devastating to everybody. Thanks again for all of your work that you've done over the years. I do think Farmington Hills is a great place to live. Looking forward to continuing to live here and participate in the community. I go to the Hawk all the time. I play basketball there. primarily in the mornings. I don't look like I play basketball, but I do, I promise. I'm actually in a league on Sundays. And when I'm there at 6:30 in the morning, there are already people in there of all ages. There's typically some adults with their children, some in high school. I know that there's a varsity Mercy player that's up there shooting that shot every week, every day. And when I go on the weekends, it's packed. I get in there in the morning, and by the time I'm out of there by about 9 or so, kids are already lined up. And there's a lot of days where there's signs that say specifically like no more day passes. And this got me thinking, I would love to see, instead of the Caustic Center being moved to the Hawk, basketball courts actually being added to the Hawk. This sounds like a little bit of a niche thing, but with NIL money pouring into youth sports today, high school players able to make money, it's becoming very, very competitive. When you look at AAU sports, they have 2 facilities that they can currently use for their tournaments. One of them is in Livonia, and the other one is in Pontiac. The one in Pontiac, UWM, also has leagues throughout the year where it's $900 per team to play in a league. I think that building 4 courts with a concession stand and adequate facilities for AAU tournaments, for training facilities for our local high school students, for folks like me that like to get in and shoot around, I think it could actually be a money-making endeavor. It could be really beneficial to the next generation of folks coming to Farmington Hills. Seeing the number of kids that are there on the weekends is really inspiring to me, that it's not just kids sitting at home playing video games, but it's kids getting out there and really doing something. While we're investigating spending all of this money for seniors, deservedly so, surprisingly, in like 12 years, I'll be in that 55 and up community when I'll probably be using some of those facilities. But until then, I'm still in my prime, and I'd love to see something that can really draw some younger families in. If there were a facility like that, I think it'd be great. In fact, I did ask everybody that was there the last couple of weeks what they thought about something like this. Granted, of course, they're going to be a little biased. They're in there shooting hoops with their kids. But I encourage the city to look at it too. I think it would be a good investment, and I bet everybody's happy I didn't complain today. So thank you very much, and I really do implore you to take a look. Think about it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Sue Homet?
Holman.
Homet? Okay. Followed by our last speaker, William Lubaway. Okay.
I am Sue Holman, and I would like to speak to the health hazards of a senior center residing near a major expressway. I started off asking DuckDuckGo AI Search Assist the question, which side of I-696 gets the most air pollution? Quote, the side of I-696 that experiences the most air pollution is typically the northern side, as it runs through densely populated suburban areas in Oakland and Macomb counties where traffic emissions are higher, unquote. I then read some very authoritative websites such as EPA, the American Lung Association, and some scholarly peer-reviewed articles from PubMed.gov, which is the world's premier database for all things health and medical, and with about 40 million citations and abstracts. Basically, these different websites told me that people who live, work, or play near sources of air pollution are exposed to higher levels of air contaminants, many of which contribute to adverse health effects. Freeway vehicles produce air pollutants through not only tailpipe emissions, but also tire, brake, and road wear. Diesel vehicles, especially large trucks, which we get a lot of, are associated with particularly harmful forms of particulate matter called black carbon, which is significant as its health impacts are even more severe than regular particulate matter. Children, older adults, people with pre-existing diseases are among those at higher risk for health impacts associated with living, working, or playing near busy highways, exposing them to these harmful air pollutants. These pollutants are linked to health issues including asthma, COPD, cardiovascular disease, dementia, infertility, and even premature death. especially, again, for children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing conditions. One article claimed that exposure to ambient air pollutants adversely affects glucose tolerance, insulin sensitivity, and blood lipid concentrations. Quote, "Our findings suggest that ambient air pollutants may contribute to the psychopathophysia," something like this, "in the development of type 2 diabetes," unquote. Another study said that overall, they found evidence that ultrafine particulates was positively associated with systolic blood pressure, pulse pressure, and hypertension prevalence. Pollution from a freeway can also seep indoors, with indoor pollution levels reaching 50 to 70% of outdoor levels. It was advised.
Right, thank you.
You'll never know.
Good evening. I'm here to speak about the Farmington Public Schools. Your voters and my voters, since I live in Farmington now, are the voters for Farmington Public Schools. So there's a big interest in this, and you will probably have an interest in some of what I have to say here. Two topics. Oh, and I've been a resident of Farmington Hills for 50 years now. Michigan's education ranks 44th in the country. I've been looking at this for 6 or 7 years now, and it took me a while to recognize that our school board didn't understand what the percentage achievement on various tests was and what it meant. So what I did was, first of all, ask a question: what would you think if you got 56% on a test? That's an F. But we deal with that all the time because that is our traditional letter grade when it's applied to our reading test results. What that means is 44% of our kids are not reading at grade level. That's not a good product. I think that's one of the reasons that we have lost 25% of our population of students, even though our total population in the district has remained about the same over the years. I think this poor performance on our student education is certainly partly or mostly responsible for that. The second topic is the proclamation. It's a DEI proclamation that the district made 6 years ago, and this is what it says. Whereas, despite the greater Farmington community having been founded by abolitionist Quakers and being a stop on the Underground Railroad, it is acknowledged that there is a long history of racism, discrimination, and segregation within our community, and which has adversely impacted our educational results. And they don't even bother to mention the fact that we had 40 Farmington residents who died in the Civil War to get rid of slavery. This has to be rescinded. I think it's an insult to you, to our voters, and it's about time to get rid of it.
All right, thank you. All right. That brings us to the end of tonight's meeting. Our next meeting will be April 13th. Good night, Farmington Hills.